The flickering fluorescent bulb above pump 3 stuttered like a dying heartbeat. Midnight. My skin prickled as the security monitor glitched, static snows swallowing the image of the empty lot. Then, a face, pressed against the rain-streaked window of the locked door. Pale, too wide, eyes like oil pits reflecting the neon open sign. I dropped my lukewarm coffee. The thud echoed in the sudden heavy silence. The bell above the entrance dinged. Impossible. The door was bolted. Cold air, smelling of wet earth and something metallic slithered in. The register screen blinked. Transaction void. A single muddy footprint appeared on the freshly mopped floor, pointing toward the cold storage room, where the lights just went out. My name's Ben, just a broke college student grinding the graveyard shift at Hank's Pit Stop, a lonely gas station 20 miles from the nearest town. Route 47 was quiet after 10 p.m., just the occasional trucker bleary-eyed for coffee. Hank, the owner, was cheap. The security cameras were ancient, the backlot swallowed by woods, and the fluorescent lights buzzed like angry wasps. It paid the bills, barely. Tonight felt heavier, though. The air clung thick and damp, promising a storm the radio crackled about. Every shadow in the stacked snack aisle seemed deeper. Every creak of the old building settling sounded like a footstep. I chalked it up to fatigue and too much bad coffee. Just the usual unease of being alone in the middle of nowhere when the world sleeps. If only that was all it was. The ding of the entrance bell around 1:17 a.m. made me jump. A trucker, maybe, but no headlights had cut through the downpour now lashing the windows. A woman stood just inside, dripping onto the mat. She wore a soaked-through, faded floral dress, no coat. Her dark hair plastered to her skull, hiding most of her face except a pale, pointed chin. "Rough night," I offered, forcing cheerfulness. She didn't respond, just drifted towards the coffee station. Her movements were smooth, too smooth, unnaturally fluid. Water pooled around her bare feet. "Ma'am, need help finding anything?" She stopped, turned her head slowly, not her whole body, just her head, like an owl. The fluorescent light caught hollow cheeks, eyes wide and unblinking, staring past me at the security monitor. "Cold," she whispered, a voice like dry leaves skittering on concrete. "So cold in here." I followed her gaze to the monitor. The screen showed the empty coffee station, where she was standing, right now. My blood turned to ice. I whipped my head back. She was gone. Only a dark, wet patch on the linoleum remained, and the distinct chilling smell of stagnant pond water mixed with the faint, coppery tang of blood. The security monitor flickered back to the empty coffee station. Dry. My heart hammered against my ribs. I checked the door, still locked. The lot was deserted, rain sheeting down. Had I imagined it? Hallucinated from exhaustion? But the wet patch, the smell, they were real. I grabbed the heavy flashlight Hank kept under the counter, its weight a small comfort. The radio, usually playing classic rock, dissolved into harsh static. I reached to adjust it. The static pulsed, formed words, a distorted, guttural whisper threading through the noise. "Ben, check the cold room." Goosebumps erupted on my arms. That voice, it wasn't human. It sounded wet, choked. The lights overhead dimmed dramatically. The hum dropped to a low, threatening growl. Shadows in the snack aisle seemed to writhe. "No way," I muttered, gripping the flashlight. "Not happening." Then the cold room door at the back of the store creaked open. Just an inch. Pitch darkness yawned beyond. The industrial light above it buzzed violently and died. A new sound cut through the storm's roar. From the cold room, scratching, slow, deliberate, like long fingernails dragging down the metal interior wall. Scritch, scritch, scritch. It stopped. Silence. Heavy. Expectant. Then a faint, wet thud from inside the darkness, like something heavy and soft hitting the floor. The smell of pond water and blood
The
intensified,
flashlight beam
rolling out
trembled
from
in
the
my
open
hand,
door.
aimed uselessly at the floor. The scratching started again, louder, more frantic. Scritch, scritch, scratch! Then silence again, deeper than before. The radio static surged, then cleared abruptly to a local news snippet. Authorities continue the search for missing local woman Elara Vance, 24, last seen wearing a floral dress near Blackwater Pond 1 week ago. Blackwater Pond. The woods behind the station. Elara Vance. Floral dress. Ice flooded my veins. I looked down at the wet patch near the coffee station. It shimmered faintly under my shaky beam. Not just water. Darker streaks swirled within it. I stumbled towards the restroom, needing to splash water on my face, make sense of this. The small mirror above the sink was fogged. I wiped it with my sleeve. My reflection stared back, pale and wide-eyed. Then it smiled, a slow, horrible stretch of lips that I wasn't making. Behind my reflection, in the blurred background of the mirror's view of the store, stood the woman, Elara. Not dripping now, bone dry. Her floral dress hung in tatters, stained dark. Her eyes were solid black. Her mouth opened in a silent scream, revealing tiny, needle-like teeth. My reflection raised a hand and pointed behind me, towards the cold room. I spun around. The cold room door stood wide open. Utter blackness stared back, and from within it came the sound of ragged, wet breathing. The breathing stopped. The oppressive silence returned, broken only by the frantic drumming of rain and the frantic thud of my own heart. The open maw of the cold room radiated cold. Not just temperature cold, a soul-sucking emptiness. I backed away slowly, my back hitting the cold soda fridge. The flashlight beam wavered over the dark doorway. Nothing moved. A voice, soft and close, whispered directly into my right ear. The smell of decay washed over me. So lonely, Ben. Cold. Join us. Warm. I jerked away, swinging the flashlight wildly. Nothing there. Only empty space and stacked bags of chips. The security monitor flickered to life. Not static. It showed the cold room interior. Grainy, green-tinted night vision. Empty metal shelves. And on the floor, a dark, wet bundle. Shapeless, but unmistakably human-sized. The bundle twitched. Then, slowly, impossibly, it began to unfurl, limbs extending, a head lifting, matted hair obscuring the face. It pushed itself up onto hands and knees. Its movements were jerky, unnatural, like a puppet learning its strings. It turned its head towards the camera lens, hidden somewhere in the ceiling corner. The screen filled with a close-up of a face, Elara's face, but wrong. Skin gray and slack, eyes like polished obsidian stones reflecting the green light. Her mouth opened in that silent scream again. The screen went black. The lights in the entire store cut out. Absolute darkness. And the wet, dragging sound started again, closer now, just beyond the counter, coming from the aisle leading to the cold room door. Panic seized me, pure animal terror. I bolted, not towards the front door, locked, and who knew what was outside, but towards the back exit, the employee door by the stockroom. I crashed through the swinging doors into the stockroom. Cardboard towers loomed like dark monoliths. The smell of dust and stale cardboard choked me. The dragging sound was louder behind me. Squelch, drag, squelch. I fumbled for the deadbolt on the heavy steel back door. My fingers felt numb, clumsy. The bolt screeched in protest as I finally shoved it open. Rain and wind slapped me in the face. Freedom, the dark rain-slicked back lot. My beat-up Civic parked 20 feet away. I took 2 steps out and froze. Figures. Dozens of them, standing motionless in the downpour among the dumpsters and stacked pallets. Silhouettes barely visible. Men, women, children, all soaked, all facing me, utterly still, silent. The dragging sound stopped right behind me, just inside the doorway. Cold radiated from it, colder than the rain. I couldn't go forward, couldn't go back. A hand, impossibly cold and slimy, like something dredged from the pond bottom, closed around my left ankle. I screamed, kicking wildly. My shoe came off in its grip. I stumbled forward, falling hard onto the wet asphalt, flashlight skittering away. I scrambled towards my car on hands and knees, gasping, risked to look back. The thing that was Elara filled the doorway, not crawling now, standing, tall, too tall, her black eyes fixed on me. A slow, hungry smile spread across it wider than should be possible. The figures in the lot took one synchronized step forward. I lunged for the car door handle, yanked, locked. My keys, still in my pocket? I fumbled desperately. There! I stabbed the fob. The lights flashed. The locks thunked open. I threw myself inside, slamming the door shut, just as icy fingers scraped the window. Elara's distorted face pressed against the glass, black eyes burning, needle teeth clicking on the surface. Start! 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 I begged the ignition, twisting the key. The engine whined, coughed, died. Click! 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 Dead battery? No! It was fine earlier! The figures were closing in, moving with that same unnatural, jerky gait, silent in the pounding rain, surrounding the car. Elara stepped back from the window, raised a hand, pointed at the gas pumps. Pump 3, the one with the flickering light. Its display, dark since my shift started, suddenly lit up. Numbers flashed, 0.00, then began to climb. 0.5, 0.10, 0.15. Gallons, pumping, but the hose was coiled, nozzle secure, nothing attached. The numbers kept climbing, 0.30, 0.45. The smell hit me, even through the closed car windows, thick, cloying, gasoline, pouring out from under the pump housing, a dark shimmering river mixing with the rainwater, spreading rapidly across the lot, towards my car, towards the silent figures, who didn't react. 0.65, 0.80.
Elara watched me, her smile now a rictus grin of triumph. She raised her other hand. In it, flickering weakly, was a single lit match. The numbers hit 99.99. The pump clicked off. The spreading gasoline reached the front tire of my car. Elara tilted her head and blew gently on the match. Time stopped. The tiny flame danced on the match head, reflecting in Elara's bottomless black eyes and the spreading gasoline slick that now encircled my car, lapping at the tires. The rain seemed to slow, each drop hanging suspended for a heartbeat. The silent figures stood like sentinels, waiting. I screamed, not words, just raw, primal terror tearing from my throat. I pounded on the horn, a pathetic dying bleat that drowned instantly in the storm. Elara's grin widened impossibly, splitting her face into a nightmare crescent. She didn't drop the match. She flicked it. It spun end over end, a tiny, doomed meteor arcing through the downpour towards the dark, shimmering river of fuel. No, no, no! I threw myself down across the passenger seat, covering my head, bracing for the roar, the heat, the consuming fire. The match hit the gasoline. A soft thump. Not an explosion, an ignition. Blue flame raced across the surface of the spreading fuel with terrifying speed. Following the paths carved by the rainwater, it didn't roar. It hissed like 1,000 angry snakes. Blue tongues of fire licked hungrily at the tires of my car, at the boots of the silent figures standing ankle-deep in the inferno. They didn't scream, didn't move, didn't burn. The fire flowed over them, through them, like they were made of smoke. Their silhouettes flickered within the blue flames, becoming insubstantial, transparent, ghosts revealed in the hellish light. The heat inside the car became unbearable, sucking the oxygen from the air. The windshield began to warp. The stench of burning plastic and rubber mixed with the overwhelming gasoline fumes. I choked, gasping. The figures watched me burn, their faces impassive voids within the fire. Elara stood untouched at the edge of the blue conflagration, just beyond the pump island. Her dress didn't smolder. Bahrain didn't touch her. She watched me struggle, trapped in my metal coffin. Her black eyes held not malice, but a terrible, empty hunger. The fire reached the undercarriage. A fuel line? The gas tank? The world turned white, then orange, then black. I woke up to the insistent buzz of fluorescent lights, stiffness in my neck, the smell of stale coffee and, faintly, pond water. I was slumped over at the counter at Hank's pit stop. My lukewarm coffee cup lay spilled where I dropped it. The security monitor showed the empty lot. Rain streaked the windows. Pump 3's light flickered weakly. 333 glowed on the register. My heart hammered, a frantic bird trapped in my ribs. A dream, a horrific, vivid nightmare. Relief washed over me, shaky and weak. I reached for the mop to clean spilled coffee. My hand froze. On the linoleum floor, perfectly clear despite the spill, was a single muddy footprint pointing towards the cold storage room, where the light above the door buzzed and died. The register screen blinked, "Welcome back, Ben." And beneath it, smaller, Elara clocked out. Outside, under the flickering light of Pump 3, the numbers began to climb. 0.00, 5.00, 10.00.